Hello, juniors. This is Mr. Jones, counselor at Mercer Island High School, on behalf of the entire Mercer Island High School counseling team. We miss you very badly, and we cannot wait to see you in person. The Zoom sessions and the video presentations, they're just not the same. So we are thinking of you, and we hope that you and your families are staying safe and healthy. Today we are going to spend about 15 to 20 minutes helping you take another step forward in terms of your planning for what you want to do after you graduate. So first off, we wanted to provide a checklist of items that coming into this part of your junior year, what should I have done in Naviance up to this point? So what are the tasks I should have completed? If you haven't completed them, you can still go back and do them, don't worry. But what should I have done up to this point? So first of all, if you have not logged into Clever or logged into Naviance lately, we did do a change on how to get into that. You still go into Family Access, but now you have to choose Log in with Clever, and then from there use your district Google username and password from that point forward. So that is a change. If you get stuck and cannot get into Naviance, it's probably because you have not yet used the Login with Clever option. From sophomore year, take a look at your career interest inventory results. If you haven't done it yet, you can still do it, but we do encourage you to take a look at that because that can help identify possible majors for you and or careers. The college super match you completed in the junior year, beginning of this year in the fall, and we hope that you saved one of your searches. Several of you actually have saved more than one search, which is awesome. To meet the graduation requirement, you do need to save at least one of those searches. The whole point of doing those searches is to start thinking about what are the things that are important to you? What are you looking for when it comes to a college, university, or other program? What's the best fit? So, what's the size of the school, the location of the school, the types of majors that are offered, the intramurals or the activities or clubs that are offered, and so on and so forth. That is the whole point of doing that college super match because it's to encourage you to think about what are the characteristics that are the most important to you so that you can find your best fit. Also, you should have an updated resume in Naviance too. So if you haven't done that, that's where that can be added or uploaded. You can also use the formatting there. And then finally, go into your high school and beyond course plan. Make sure that you have updated that to reflect the courses you've taken in 9th and 10th grade, and then also that you are currently doing in 11th grade. You'll have another opportunity once you get your schedules in August to start adding in your senior classes and confirming what those senior classes are after your schedule comes out. So it's good to edit that, make sure everything is up to date. What do we recommend that you do before school is out? School closes June 19th, so just the next couple of weeks, what should I be thinking about? One is, do I need to take an ACT or SAT test? So if you go to the college websites for their admissions websites, take a look and confirm if they do require an SAT or ACT. Because of COVID, some colleges and universities have decided not to hold that against students that are even juniors. So make sure you look closely to see if it's optional or if it's required. Second thing, use that college search that you did in Naviance and start to narrow down your choices to about 4 to 8 colleges are what we advise. It's not a hard and fast number. There's no right or wrong. What we have found though is that when students apply to more than 8, specifically 17, 22, I kid you not, I had somebody apply to 27 colleges. The problem then becomes when you're accepted to many of those, then you have a lot harder decisions to make. So we really recommend that you do your research up front so that you're finding those best fits. Again, not a magic number, just what we suggest, 4 to 8. When you do that, when you create that college portfolio, if you will, some of them should be safety schools, meaning that based on your GPA and or your SAT, ACT scores, that you have a pretty good shot of getting in. Reach schools are those that when you look at your SAT, ACT, and or GPAs, compare those to acceptances for this college, that they might be a bit of a stretch or about out of a bit of a stretch compared to where you're at, and then some that are fall kind of in between. It's good to have a mixed portfolio of schools on your list. For private universities and then any colleges that do require a letter of recommendation between now and the last day of school, make sure you have asked your teacher so that they have a heads up, so that they also have time to potentially work on that over the summertime. We do not want you to be asking a teacher in the fall, a week before your deadline, if they can write a letter for you, because the chances are they probably won't be able to do that. Okay? In general, it's good to give people at least 3 weeks, if not more, of heads up notice. And that's why now is the best time to do that, because you're not going to see them again until September. So give them that advance notice. In terms of what we recommend for who to ask, typically it's good to have 2 teachers in mind. They do not have to be teachers that you've had this year as a junior in your junior year. But what we do advise is if you are thinking about a major that's in science, tech, engineering, math, a STEM field, having one teacher from either science, tech, or math write your letter of recommendation, at least one of the 2. Likewise, if you're thinking more humanities, political science, English, literature, communications, for example, you might want to have, you would be advised to have at least one of the teachers to be a teacher from English or social studies. Pick someone that you feel that knows you the best, that can articulate your work as a student, and make sure again to give them advance notice. Offer a resume when you ask that teacher. They may want it, they may not want it, but it's always nice to offer that. Typically, when school is opened, I would be pressing the students to do this in person and ask their teachers in person. Given that school is closed and we don't have that option, go ahead and send your teacher either an email or a Schoology message asking if they would be willing to write your letter of recommendation. Ask them if they'd like to set up a time to talk with you about the letter of recommendation, and again, offer your resume. So do that before school is out. What can happen? Some teachers have a cap in terms of how many letters they can write, and that's not because they want to close doors for students. It's just because of the workload. So if a teacher says, you know what, I can't take any more than 40 students, and you're 41, you're going to have to find a backup. So it's better to act on that sooner than later. In terms of what we counselors do to help support students with the college paperwork, so to speak, we will complete the school reports that are required as part of the application, and then also the counselor recommendation forms. That's where we are able to write in comments about you in terms of viewing you through the lens of the counselor. We do not write formal letters of recommendation for our students, but the recommendation forms are where we are able to write in comments and advocate for you on your behalf. If you intend to play an NCAA Division I or II sport, you have to set up an account in the NCAA Eligibility Center. So if you Google NCAA Eligibility Center, you will set up a username and password. It is up to you as a potential athlete to make sure that you are satisfying the entrance requirements for the NCAA, not just with courses, but also SAT, ACT, and GPA. So it's on you to check that out if you plan to play D1 or D2 sport. With schools closed and colleges closed, what do I do? Because I can't do a school tour. A lot of the colleges have adapted to COVID by offering what's called a virtual college tour. They also offer virtual Zoom sessions for students that want to connect with an admissions officer. You can certainly always call and email admissions. But one of the best places to look is on StriveScan. So if you Google StriveScan, or I've also put this as a link here at this virtual college exploration, There are almost 400 different types of either audio or video files that individual colleges have uploaded that are free to access for students. And they range not only from the colleges, four-year publics, four-year privates, international schools, two-year schools. They also have things about essay writing. They have what are some of the questions that I should ask an admissions counselor? And then there's something called the Western Undergraduate Exchange, which I'll come back to in a minute. But first of all, they've grouped together, for example, the four-year public colleges in Washington. I'll show the next slide so you have a visual of what that looks like. But when you click on that, that will take you to a 45-minute YouTube video where an admissions rep from one of the four-year public schools will get on there and talk to you about all the great things about all of the public schools in this state. The same with the two-year community colleges and technical colleges in Washington. There's a link there, and there's a rep that will walk you through a YouTube video overview of the tech offerings and community college offerings in the state of Washington. So lots of really interesting, cool things to access. Colleges have definitely caught on that they have to be creative here in terms of how they outreach to students. They've created videos or audio sessions for students to listen to or watch. And that is a really, really key way to do the research while school is closed. I mentioned essay writing, and I'll come back to that in another slide too. But there's little tips and tricks about what should I write about in terms of my essay? What should I steer clear of when I'm writing my essay? These are admissions representatives who read essays that can tell you from experience what they see and what they recommend and what they don't recommend. If you happen to be reaching out to an admissions counselor directly, or if you're applying to a school that requires an interview, for example, there's a link to how to, what are some of the best things or questions that I can ask of that particular person to make the best use of my time. I refer to the Washington Undergraduate Exchange, so there's an opportunity there for students to hear more about what that is. But in short, the state of Washington has an exchange program with different schools in the western part of the United States where you can't quite get in-state tuition, but you pay less than out-of-state tuition. So these are places such as in California, Hawaii, Alaska, Idaho, Oregon, Nevada, and so on. So that is a good place or a good slide to check out as well. There's a whole lot listed there. As mentioned, here's a sample of what the slide looks like just for the Washington State Public Universities. You'll see that the narrator is located right up here in the top corner, and she will walk you through, it looks like a 43-minute session on Washington State Public Universities. So if you go back to that scan list, that virtual college exploration list, that is where you will find a gold mine of information. You can track down individual schools, groups of schools, or things that can also help you with your planning. What should I be thinking about doing over the summer? So definitely, provided that college campuses still remain closed, continue with the virtual visits. Not only does the site that I referred to earlier have information on that, but all of the admissions programs for schools will have that listed as well so that you can find a way to visit without being present, but visit virtually. I would say the big thing to be working on over the summer are your college essays. The good news, those prompts are already online right now as we speak. So if you go to commonapp.org and you're applying to any Common Application schools, which I'll talk to you about in just a moment, those prompts are already listed, so you can get a jump on that over the summer, polish it up by the end of the summer so that you are good to go and ready to go with the essays. The essays take the most time of your application, so spend the time over the summer taking a look at that. And then I also wrote down, make sure that you're managing what your timelines are. So I've seen other students in the past who've been really good about keeping track of this, either by creating a spreadsheet or just some kind of a list at home so that they are tracking what items they've submitted, what their deadlines are, do they need a letter of recommendation, and so on. We've mentioned already too, if you haven't done it yet, update your resume and your high school and beyond plan in Naviance. And then if you are considering applying either early decision or early action to any of your colleges, you really got to get on those applications over the summertime so that you're primed and ready in early September, ready to go, packaging things up and ready to put everything together to be submitted. So if you're thinking early decision, early action, it's up to you to know what those timelines are, but then to really spread your work out over the summer so that you can have those primed and ready, as I say, to get up and go early in the fall. The SAT and SAT, ACT we've mentioned earlier, but if you do have to take it or you haven't taken it yet and you need to take it, you can still take it. They currently have some scheduled for July. We will see if those still go or not, depending on the impacts of COVID at that time. And then the same thing in the fall, there will be testing opportunities in September, October that you can take prior to submitting applications for colleges. So you may have one last opportunity to be able to retake it if you so desire. As mentioned earlier, do make sure though to see if it's required or not. A couple of events that are coming up. This one is in person, so things could change. I do not know what their backup plan is in case we are still under COVID rules and policies, but a consortium of colleges from across the country called Colleges That Change Lives will be present at the Westin Grand Hotel in Seattle, Washington. What all of these schools have in common is a desire to help students find their best fit for themselves. You'll see locally a couple of colleges include the Evergreen State College down in Olympia, and then the University of Puget Sound also listed there, but the rest of the schools are from across the country. You can get more information at their website or right here. It's planned to be at the Westin Grand Hotel on July 30th, but do keep track of monitoring their website just in case things do change. There is a virtual tour for Oregon private schools, and the dates are July 27th through 31st. You click on this link right here and you can sign up for that. The colleges listed are the ones that will be available for students to take 80-minute tours with via the internet. So check that out. We'll wrap up here with just going over the application types. So as you start to look at your colleges and scope out what the applications are, the processes are, they really fall into one of three main buckets. The first one is called the Common Application, or Common App, that we referred to earlier. There are several hundred colleges across the country and actually internationally on the list of Common App schools. The beauty of the Common App is it allows you to basically do one-stop shopping, put your essays in it, put all your demographic information in it, and then we counselors and teachers writing your letter of recommendation can submit everything via Naviance to Common App, and it basically allows you one application to be submitted to any of the colleges that are within the Common Application list. We will show you in the fall how to connect your Naviance account to your Common App. We don't need to worry about that right now, but just be aware, one of the main buckets, one of the main categories, Common Application. Another category is called the Coalition Application. The University of Washington is a Coalition Application school. There are some colleges will allow you to choose between Coalition or Common App. As counselors, we will plead with you, please choose the Common App option. And our reason for that, in a nutshell, is it's much easier for us to use the Common App with Naviance than it is with the Coalition. That said, if you're given the option, please choose Common App, knowing that for some schools like UW Seattle, it's a Coalition only. There's no choice involved in that. And then the third bucket really of types of applications, some schools have their own application processes. So just to name a few, Wazoo is one, Western Washington, Georgetown, MIT. There are colleges out there that have their own applications that are not connected to the Common App or Coalition. So just be aware of those three different types of applications. To close up here, we just want to remind you that, again, we are so looking forward to being able to see you as soon as we can, and as soon as it's cleared that we are back in school. But we are here for you still. You can send us an email or a Schoology if you have any questions. You want to set up a Zoom session, we're more than happy to accommodate that for you. But do take a look at the tools that we provided you first. And then if you have follow-up questions, please let us know. So there's Ms. Brown, Southern, Mr. Welch, myself, and Mr. Vasquez, all here to support you. To add to that list, we have tremendous counselors available in R&R. Trying to find out to map out your future can be stressful. It can induce anxiety and worry. They are also another layer of help and support for you as students. So you can easily email any one of us or send us a Schoology message and we will get back in touch with you. So in closing, we really appreciate your attention and focus during this presentation. And we just want to close with, it's really important that you find your best fit for your Beyond High School plans. We want you to find the place that is the social fit for you, the academic fit for you, and the best financial fit for you as well. We want you to be happy. We want you to find that fit for you. In the meantime, please let us know what we can do to support you. Thank you again so much for your attention, and take care.